So after making that video about just me like splurging about Bleach, I did mention like in my community post about me making a top 10 Bankai video, in my personal opinion, like no order really, like which one's my favorite. And then I did see that Watch Mojo also put a top 10 Bleach Bankai like around the same time. I kind of like thought about it and like mentioned this. I was like, all right, let me check them out. For a Bankai list in 2019, not even 2020, they did not include any manga Bankai. For whatever reason, they decided to make a top 10 list without the manga, even though the manga's been done for like over 2 years now. So, or over 3 years now. So, I thought that was kind of ridiculous. So, how about I make a Bankai video, but I'm including the manga stuff, because obviously there's a lot more cooler shit after the Fullbring arc. So, well, today we're going to be talking about my top 10 Bankais. Again, like I already said, it's completely biased. These top 10 is not going to be ordered in like any specific order, like from least favorite to like best. It's just going to be a top 10 of my favorite Bankais out of everyone that's been like shown towards the end of the series, including obviously, you know, like Kisuke Urahara, you know, Yamamoto, every character you can think of in the manga and the anime. There is going to be, that's what I can put into consideration. So with all that being said, let's jump into number 10. Alright, so number 10 is the completed Daiguren Hyorimaru. Now, obviously, this belongs to Hitsugaya, and he's probably playing with him in Jump Force recently because I believe he just got released a couple of weeks ago or whatever. But Hyorimaru, like completed Daiguren Hyorimaru, has always been a cool, no pun intended, like favorite of mine, because I just love the ice dragon, and like Hitsugaya's design has always been really cool. So the ice dragon wings and like the head, like the ice dragon like mouth on the sword, has always been really damn cool. However, to me, it's kind of been meme worthy because like the amount of times that Hitsugaya has been like cut, like including his Bankai, like where his wings get snatched or like limbs get cut off. It's pretty funny. I mean, obviously the wings regenerate because it's ice, so it's pretty cool. The reason I'm including it and one of my favorites, aside from that, because it probably would have made the list even before this, is the completed form of Daiguren Hyorimaru, which is when the ice petals basically run out in the, you know, the 1,000-year Blood War arc. Basically, Hitsugaya explained that I believe he's kind of like Gon-esque, like Hunter x Hunter, where he trained and he learned to like basically up his body and mature his body to a point where he can like use the full power of Daiguren Hyorimaru. So he basically turns himself into an adult with like ice pads on his shoulder, on his knees and stuff, and he looks really like weirdly he loses the wings, which I would have loved if he kept. But this is the full completed version of Daiguren Hyorimaru, and like he has like flash freezing and like it's insane. Like he's amazing. I love that Bankai, but it's my number 10. Alright, for my number 9, it's kind of a sneak peek, like a sleeper hit, because I really didn't think about this character until like I started rewatching some stuff in Bleach, like the anime. And Kaname Tosen, who's a really dope design character and one of my favorites of like, you know, the Aizen squad, and you know, because Aizen is just iconic and his whole squad. So however, I really hated the hollowified state that he got, like they're basically like a bug. I really hated that like design for him. He looked a lot less cooler, and I think that's obviously the story lends itself to that, because obviously, you know, Komamura beats him. However, my favorite thing about him was, aside from his design, was his Bankai, which is, I have the list up here because I cannot remember these names, and if I butcher them, I'm sorry, but it is Suzumushi, Suishiki, Enma Korogi. Whatever that means, I just love the fact that basically in this Bankai, if you're inside enveloped by it, basically all your senses are null and void. Like you cannot hear, feel, see, touch, like taste, nothing. And it's when you really think about it, it's a really overpowered Bankai. The only reason we saw it get basically like neutered by Kenpachi is because, well, he's fighting Kenpachi. So basically every time he took a hit, basically the weakness of that is if you get hit by the user and it touches you, then, you know, then you can basically see, touch, hear, whatever. So, but still, overall, a really dope Bankai. The fact that it just nullifies and like stops all your senses, to me, is a really dope Bankai for me. So that's my number 9. Speaking of Aizen Squad, let's jump into number 8. Gin Ichimaru. A lot of people love this character. I mean, he was like the sleeper hit because obviously he was like the sleeper agent, Mr. Very bad until secretly he was good because, all his Rangiku backstory and stuff like that. So he was good all along, right? And he basically did kill Aizen had he not fused with the Hogyoku. So his Bankai, Kamishini no Yari. So that Bankai, overall, it's basically like an extension, no pun intended, of his Shikai. His Shikai just extends pretty much and like cuts a whole bunch of shit, but like this one like extends for miles. And I believe he said that basically the way the Bankai works is that it basically returns in an instant. Like it's like insanely, I think like it's past the speed of sound or some shit. It's like insanely fast and cuts everything. However, the reason why it snuck up on there is like, one, I like Gin, and then two, the fact that it has another ability to it, which is basically if he gets stabbed by it, he basically dissolves the sword and it goes back to being original. However, he can leave a piece of the sword inside you, which he did against Aizen, with an extremely potent poison. So much so that it did kill Aizen, in my opinion. Obviously, like from what we've seen and everything, it killed Aizen, but he had the Hogyoku, which made him immortal or whatever. So at that point, he was already awakening. So that little ability is insane, and I love Gin and I love his Bankai, and I just like simple sword shit. The fact that it just extends and comes back and it slices everything in its path, and it has a poison like modifier. And number 7 belongs to our boy Renji. Renji is another character where I thought his Bankai was very memeable, because after he initially used it against Byakuya, which it was quite impressive, and he used it against one of the Arankars, I believe, the dude with the blonde hair, forget his name. His Bankai was basically like a meme, because every time he used it, someone would just slap it and it would just be destroyed. Zaya All-Pro literally denied him using his Bankai. Like every time someone hits it, it just breaks apart. Like Hihio Zabimaru was always a weird Bankai for me, and it really dumbed down Renji, in my opinion, because he was such a big threat in like the Soul Society arc, and like his character was so different and everything. Ever since he mellowed out after that arc because of Ichigo and Rukia, he kind of felt like, I don't know, just a shtick. So what was the best course of action? In the 1,000-Year Blood arc, they were like, hey, Renji, come with Ichigo and blah blah blah. We're gonna take Renji, Byakuya, Rukia, and everyone, basically the core group, and we're going to take you to the Soul Kingdom Palace with Ichigo, and basically him and Ichigo train to unlock their true Bankai. Don't worry, Ichigo's on this. We'll get to him. But the fact that he got an upgrade in his Bankai to his true Bankai, because they explain that a Bankai never really recovers after being destroyed, which is why Ichigo also went, because his 10 Sazangetsu was also broken. It was cool to see that Renji got a boost in power and was actually like badass again, because he got Soul Zabimaru, which basically it's a combination of, we've always seen the snake and like the monkey aspect of it, but if with Hihio Zabimaru, it was, even though it says it's like Monkey King, Hihio, it really felt just like a snake thing, because it was just like a big thing that he just kept throwing around. But with this one, he has a left side, I believe, that has the giant monkey arm that can grab shit, it has immense strength and grab and punch and whatever. Then on the right side, he has the snake stuff with the sword, and then he has the bone, and he can also still throw and retract. But he has it is such a upgraded in his Bankai, and a much cooler Bankai than Hihio Zabimaru. And the first thing he did with it, he destroyed one of the Stern Ridders like nothing with that Bankai. So Renji got a nice return in the 1,000-Year Blood War, and got some nice respect back from me, in my opinion, because ever since Soul Society, he was kind of useless. So, alright, on to number 6. Alright, so number 6, I also have it up here because this one, it was really confusing to me to understand, but once I kind of started to understand it, it was really dope. It is Shunsui Kyoraku's Bankai, which is Katen Kyokotsu Karamatsu Shinju. Basically, his Bankai, I think it depends on his Zanpakuto's mood. He can't just activate it, which is a really interesting thing. So it was pretty cool, that's a factor into it activating, which is also if you really notice, like, well, I guess that's why he probably couldn't use it against Stark in the, you know, the Karakura arc. But it is a really cool, like, first off, his Shikai was like a game, and then like his Bankai is like a play, like has different acts, and like the damage onto himself goes onto like onto the other person, so they share the damage, and the other person gets like black spots, and like it is an insane Bankai. Like I'm still trying to wrap my head around it, but it is visually, like reading that in the manga was so cool, like all the blacks and all the whites, like just like it was very artsy, and I love that. And it remains one of my favorite Bankais ever. Like, Kyoraku is such a dope character, and that Bankai is insane. So, number 5 is Sajin Komamura's Bankai Kokujo Tengen Myo Dangai Joe, I think it is. So, that one is interesting because I always liked Komamura's Bankai because it was like a dope giant armor dude, but it was always just, to me, it was like, it's such a weakness. Like he has such a like close connection to his Zanpakuto that anyone that hurts the Bankai, it hurts the user. So to me, it always felt like a handicap. So what better way in 1,000 Year Blood Wars to keep it like that, like giant, but not Komamura like sacrificed his heart, and now he's like human, like, you know, with like dog ears and stuff like that. But his armor for the Kokujo Tengen Myo is gone. Now it doesn't really show like many special abilities aside from it just looking like, I guess it's really on here on pure design and like power, because it literally, I don't think it has any like special abilities aside from it just being strong as hell and like fast and like other stuff, but if I remember correctly. But overall, like the design of this like unarmored version, like it really just like, it's so gnarly and cool. And the fact that he like one-shotted Bambietta and like caused like basically like almost like a mini like nuke like that is really dope, and that's why he's number 5. Number 4 is interesting because I don't think the Bankai has a name as of, I mean, obviously the thing's over, so they never really revealed a name for the Bankai. And if you know what I'm talking about, then you know that number 4 is Kenpachi Zaraki's Bankai. Now, his Bankai is interesting because I don't think there's been another character in the series where the Bankai directly augments the user only. Like, the sword looked a little bit different, but I think it was broken, his Nozarashi, which is a Shikai. But it changes Kenpachi entirely to red and like with horns. He literally becomes a demon, which is fucking crazy. So he's a strong, fast, like basically it envelops everything that he is. He looks like a hollow, he looks like a Vostok Lord, but it envelops like basically his personality really well, to me, in my opinion, because he's very like battle hungry. So to me, it really like envelops his character very well. But there is no name for his Bankai, so because I think he just like, it was, remember Yachiru just shows up and it's like, you know, it's like, oh, that thing called Bankai, and then he just erupts, and then he's just going crazy. So he's my number 4. Alright, for number 3, I'm gonna put Ichigo's Bankai, Tensa Zangetsu, all iterations. The reason I say all iterations is because I love his design at the end, like with the hollow like horn, half hollow, or like basically like half Vostok Lord. He even has like, I think, the hole on his chest and everything. He looks really cool. But my biggest gripe with the final sword looking like design was that it was, to me, I've gotten so used to this, like, just, I love just the sleek like black blade, that when he changes it to, or when it gets changed to his true Bankai, which combines, which I did like it, it's combining the best of both worlds, the hollow and the Zangetsu parts. It kind of just turns into a giant sword, and it really just, it kind of reminds me of his normal Shikai, but just a little, you know, obviously Bankai version. Or, you know, I guess his Shikai is different, obviously, at the end with 2 swords, but I wasn't really a big fan of that design. That's why I'm including all iterations. Like, Ichigo's character design, dope. The giant sword, like, that he gets for his final Bankai, it's okay, but I'm just a personal fan. I think I'm probably going to be in the minority in this. To me, in my opinion, his design, like look, I think for me it was peak in the Fullbring arc. Now, I know a lot of people aren't fans of the Fullbring arc, but I love the way they slightly altered his Shikai to like look like slightly different but still be giant, but I like the different like design. And I love that his Bankai, it keeps the same sleek black blade but adds like a couple like, you know, like 3 ridges on it. I think, and like it has like, you know, the X stuff on his like on his kimono. I think that's really, or Shikahosho, whatever. But that, I'm just gonna include Tensa Zangetsu overall as number 3 in my opinion. Ooh, okay, so we have number 2. We're almost done. Number 2 is Senbon Sakura Kageyoshi Byakuyakuchi's Bankai. Now, I think that this is like a lot of fan favorites, and to me, obviously for good reason. Byakuya is like one of, you know, the standard, I'm like, you know, I follow all the rules, I'm really like cold-hearted, but really not really, and like, you know, I'm just really a badass, like I'm really elite characters. But his Bankai is super cool. Like the fact that he just, you know, it's so cool to see him always drop it down. Like when he fought Romari Ruro as Espada number 7, like when he just dropped it on the side, and like we all knew, like there goes like a million blades like showing up out of nowhere. Like then he has like Senki Senbon Sakura Kageyoshi, where he does like the black world of like a whole, where he abandons defense according to him and just has like pure offense. So you have that. And then you have his Shuke Hakuteken, which is, I think, like he absorbs like all into basically one strike. He has like the white wings and everything. Byakuya Kuchiki's Bankai is just, it speaks for itself. So with all that being said, let's move on to at least a couple honorable mentions, and then we'll go into number 1. I have 4 honorable mentions this time, really only because like some of these like for whatever reason just didn't speak to me as much, even though some of them are really cool. And then for one specific, it kind of really like goes against the characters, like even though it's probably ironically like that. So for me, my first honorable mention is Kisuke Urahara's Bankai, which is called Kanon Biraki Benihime Aratame. That's a long name, but it's a really cool Bankai, and we just didn't, it was really like short-lived in my opinion. Like we really got to like see only like, oh, like it basically like recovers and like puts things back together and stuff like that. So we really got like to see just a glimpse of it, of that power, before, you know, Grimmjow and whatever. So that's why I really can't really rank it up high. We can say the same for Kyoraku, but we really had like a full-on probably like chapter and everything for his Bankai, and like we got to go through each play. Like it was just more visually interesting, and overall why I think this one didn't really like crack the 10. The second honorable mention is going to be Ryumon Hozukimaru. Amazing Bankai, love Ikaku. I just think overall when he's doing that whole dance shit and everything, really dope. I just don't like that he has to wait like a bar before he can use its actual power. Not only that, because of his personality, we don't see it often. Hell, he even got scolded, I think, in the Karakura-tan arc, because a pillar got destroyed because he didn't want to use his Bankai to kill the dude because he didn't want people to see it. So, you know, it's a really cool Bankai, but you know, it is what it is. My third honorable mention is going to be Konjiki Ashisogi Jizo from Kurotsuchi Mayuri, because it's just creepy as fuck, bro. Come on now. And my last honorable mention is for Soifon. Her Bankai is interesting, but it's so basic. I mean, granted, the explosion is massive, and I get that it's like kind of ironic that like a stealth member is using a Bankai that's basically like a giant missile like nuke on her arm, and that she could fire multiple. Like it's, you know, kind of ironic that the stealth squad has that, but I just don't like when she uses it, it's like, oh, I'm super fast and Shunko and all that stuff, and then out of nowhere it's like, I got this giant missile, I'm gonna shoot it. So it's like, it's a little weird, and like for her especially, but I do really like, because I like her Shikai with the stinger where like she double taps and you die. Like that one's really cool and like scary, but you know, it is what it is. There's still great Bankais, but these are just my honorable mentions. And my number 1 Bankai, again, none of this list was like, you know, from least to favorite, it was just my personal top 10 Bankais in general. Like I love them all equally, is Genryusai Yamamoto's Bankai Zanka no Tachi. Now, man, I hate it bugs me that he used it on a clone. However, the abilities that he displayed using his Bankai was insane. It has 4 different areas. He has like a flame armor. He can summon like the skeletons of those that are dead on the battlefield, and like use their skeletons for him. It is phenomenal. And the fact that like all the heat emanates, especially the artwork when he had it, like just Zankano Tachi, and like all the heat goes to the tip of the sword and it just annihilates everything it touches. Like he just tapped the like floor and like it made like a giant like area like leave. So like that's Genryusai Yamamoto is my favorite. Like I would say out of all of them, this one's probably my like just visually my favorite because I'm a big fire dude, so I love that. Like ironically, I have fire in the beginning and then ice at the top, and then you know fire at the end. So that's gonna be my top 10 bankais. What do you think? What are your top 10 favorite bankais, or even your favorite bankai in general? I feel like a lot of people are gonna say Senbon Sakura Kagayoshi or even Tensa Zangetsu, but Yamamoto and like everyone on this list, just I love all their bankais. They're like my favorites. If I didn't name one that wasn't on this list, make sure you guys leave your comment down below about your own personal favorite bankai from me. It could even be a filler bankai from one of the filler arcs in the anime. So, with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you leave a like, comment, subscribe, finish the video if you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.